Okay, so this is just a little bit of help with the Pascal assignment. Move the bit field code, and let's do this. So what I kind of have in mind is for you to have like some sort of like memo, we call this. Like, when we do dynamic programming, it's called memoization. And so you can have like some sort of like 2D array or vector of vectors. It doesn't really matter to me. And I'm going to initialize everything to -1 because in Pascal's triangle, everything is 0 or above. And so -1 would indicate I have not written a value there yet. So I'm going to say for int I equals 0, I is less than size, I plus plus. And I'm making it a global. Making globals, by the way, is not good practice. It's just kind of a pain to pass a 2D array to a function. So it's actually just going to be easier on me this way because C++, when you pass a array to something, you have to pass in one of the sizes, but not the other size, which is really weird. Or you just pass in both sizes if you want. C++ requires that arrays are fixed in size. Do you guys? Let me finish this first. So array square bracket I square bracket j is equal to -1. So we're gonna all the values start off not calculated, which is -1. So -1 means we haven't figured out the answer here yet. And the only other thing we're going to start with is we're going to start, if you look at like Pascal's triangle looks like is it starts with a 1 in the top row. And so we'll start with a 1 there. So we'll say array row 0 column size divided by 2 is equal to 1. And that's our starting condition. So we're going to start off with everybody in the triangle set to -1, meaning we haven't computed it yet, and we're going to start with a 1 here. Now, we could do this using a regular for loop, but that's not the point. The point is to teach you guys dynamic programming. So we're actually going to start with the bottom row, and then we're going to compute our way up. So we're going to say something like this: int I equals 0, I is less than size, type, size. My keyboard over because I'm at a weird angle. I plus plus. So this is the initialization phase. And now we're gonna like run the code. So for every spot in the bottom row, we are gonna compute its value. So we're gonna run Pascal on row size -1 and column I. Now Pascal doesn't exist yet, so we're going to write that. This is what you guys are going to have to do with your homework. So it's going to take any row and a column like that. And then to compute the value, like let's say I'm asking for the value of Pascal's triangle, like let's say here, like this guy right here, 4, the 4 here. I'm going to compute that by grabbing the value of the person north and west of me and adding that to the value of the person north and east of me. I'm going to add these two values together. If they're computed, I'm just going to load the value from the array and just add them together and return it. Set it in the array and return it. If it's not set, then I have to recursively call into the Pascal algorithm. If I ever go off the edge of the boundary in any direction, I will return a 0. So that's your base case. So base case, return 0 if off the edge of the array. If you're out of bounds. So we're going to say int northwest is equal to Pascal. So this is actually, I don't want to write too much for you, but like if the array of size, let's see, row -1, col -1 is set northwest to that. Otherwise, Pascal row -1, col -1. Do the same for northeast. So what I'm calling northeast is the person like up 1 and right 1. Northwest, I'm calling the person like up a row and left 1. So the person northwest is row -1, column -1. Person northeast is row -1, column +1. So that would be array row -1, column +1. And so again, if the value is already in the array, just pull that out, and that's the value. If not, you're going to recursively compute it and then pull the value out. Okay. And then we will just simply say array square bracket row square bracket column is equal to northwest plus northeast, and that's it. That's basically the whole assignment. You then have to use the bridges code to visualize it. So, but this is very close to the answer. You have to fill in a bounds check here. If out of bounds in some direction, return 0. Again, I'm not writing that code for you. I want you to do it. So if you're out of bounds, if you're below 0, if you're greater than or equal to size, in either direction, top, bottom, left, or right, although bottom shouldn't come up, return 0. Otherwise, you're going to grab the value of the person northwest of us, grab the value of the person northeast of us, and add them together. And how you get that value is either by checking the array. If the array has a value in it already that's not -1, use it. If it is -1, then call Pascal on row -1, column -1 to get the value of the northwest. Do the same for northeast. Good to go. And this will be your solution. Okay. So that is basically how you should have this set up. Somehow. Any questions about it? It should hurt your brain. It's a lot easier to think about doing these sorts of things, like not recursively. Yeah. Maybe copy that. Some of you guys have one already. Sucks for you. You can watch the recording. I had to draw a triangle for mine and visualize the steps. Yeah, it's not like thinking recursively like should hurt your brain. Like it's not like we're starting at the bottom row and it'll like recursively call upwards, computing the values as it goes, but not repeating any steps. If it's done it before, then it saves it. If it hasn't done it before, then it computes it. And so you're never going to recompute a value more than the one time. Okay. So it should hurt your brain. That's good. And the dynamic programming here will save you from having an exponential cost, because otherwise you'd be calling yourself on both of your parents on every cell on the grid, which would be heat death of the universe bad. One thing I did mention in the previous class was like when we were talking about like passing arrays, Mick Curley was like, oh, you know, in C++ arrays have to have fixed sizes, and that's true. And so what do you guys think about this? Integer x equals read. Please enter the size of an array. What do you guys think about that? Does that array have a fixed size? It's a slightly more complex Fibonacci, exactly. It's very close to Fibonacci. So the size here is not compile time determinable, right? This should be illegal, right? All right, let's initialize it to 0, and then say for every integer Bob inside of array 2, we'll see out Bob. So remember, you're not supposed to have a variable-sized let's comment this out real fast so that it'll compile. Enter the size, we get 4 variables. Enter the size, we get 8 variables. Enter the size, we get 1. This is not supposed to be really possible in C++. And in fact, if you look at Commander of Conqueror, it's yelling at us, right? You're not supposed to be able to do this. So what's going on here? If I try compiling this with Clang, Clang++, main.cc, it will not compile. It won't compile. But if I compile it with G++, it will. What's going on here? Anyone have an idea? Variable-sized object may not be initialized. Clang is hardcore about this. It's like it's not standard. Yeah, it's not standard. That's exactly right. But it is standard. It is standard in C. So this is actually one of the areas where the C programming language and the C++ programming language, their standards have diverged. C allows now, modern C, not old C, modern C allows you to have variable-sized arrays like this. C++ does not. It is not. It's never been added to the standard. They've proposed it a few times and it's failed for obscure reasons. So G++ allows it because A, they know how to do it. You know, like as far as I can understand, like the reason why we don't have variable-sized arrays in C++ is just because back in the day, that was the standard from C. And C, I think they did it that way because compiler people couldn't figure out how to do it. And the G++ people might have just been like, well, we know how to do it, so we'll just allow it. Like, who cares? And the Clang people are more like, wait, that's illegal. You can't do that. So it's an inconsistency between G++ and Clang. It's also a point of divergence between C and C++. So the GNU compiler has its own thing going on. And in fact, the reason why it has its own thing going on is the standard equals C++ 20. There's like GNU 20 or something like that. I don't know. Like G++ will oftentimes implement its own standard that's like not exactly the same as like the actual standard. And the reason for that is they have their own like weird extensions and things like that they do. And one of the things that they allow is variable sized arrays. And so when you do something with GNU 11, I don't remember what they call it. I never use it, but they have their own like special like thing going on. And so the GNU compiler will allow certain things to take place, whereas Clang is more strict about it. So, okay, that's a little bit of C++ trivia there. You're probably better off not writing code like this, in my opinion. And that's our class for today. So have a wonderful weekend. Work on Pascal's triangle. This will be due on Monday. And your Bitfield assignment will be due on Friday. And yeah. If you want any help, I'm going to be hiking this weekend with Hike, who's on chat right now. And we're going to be, I don't know, walking around in the backcountry of Big Bear. So if you have any questions, good luck. I'll see you guys on Monday. Peace.